Biden makes a new move protecting immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens and more. So this comes after Biden did a tough on border policy change about like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And so the left and progressives and liberals were up in arms, and they're like, "Oh, Biden, now you're just as bad as Trump on the border," which is so goddamn brain dead.
Yeah.
But now Biden comes out with this move that shocks me that it wasn't already done. And that's like one of the things that I see a lot with this administration is, we are very involved in politics. We talk and we read a lot about this stuff. But there are still things that Biden does that I'm like, holy shit, that's not a thing already?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, wait, that hasn't been the policy yet?
Yeah.
So what am I talking about? 500,000 undocumented spouses will be shielded from deportation and given a pathway to citizenship and the ability to work legally in the United States. So think about this. This is amazing, first of all. These are 500,000 people who are currently in the United States and not even legally allowed to work. What a waste of human capital, right? Let's just think about that first.
Yes.
Okay. What an absolute waste. There are 500,000 people that could be contributing to our economy, could be paying their income taxes effectively, could be doing all these other things, but they're not because...
I mean, they're probably mostly still working.
Oh, they're definitely still working, but
Yeah.
they're not in the system the way that they should be.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And so this, there are, what do I want to say here? Okay, who could qualify for this? Who can qualify out of these 500,000 people? To be eligible, you have to have lived in the United States for 10 years.
Yeah.
So to even get access to this, you have to have lived in the United States for 10 years. These aren't people who are just hopping the border today.
Yeah.
And then, getting legalized and getting a path to citizenship.
How much more assimilated can you
Yes.
be than having already lived here for 10 years and being married to an American citizen?
Exactly. Married to an American citizen, lived here for 10 years. You can't have a criminal record.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a criminal record, you're up and out of here, dude. But if you don't have a criminal record, you're here to stay.
Yes.
Okay. This also applies to 50,000 children of undocumented spouses who became stepchildren to American citizens.
I like
Another
that too.
huge move.
Yes.
Another huge move.
Fantastic.
What would you... So then I just want to briefly talk about this, okay? Who could be against this? Because this seems like the most obvious brain-dead position to take. Obviously. These people have lived here for 10 years.
Yes.
We want to make them more able to work to contribute to our economy.
And we want to take away this constant lingering fear that they have that they could be deported, that their life could be completely ripped apart, right? If these people are deported, it could take years to be able to get back into the U.S. if
Yes.
they're able to at all.
And let's talk about from the emotional angle.
Yes.
These people are married.
Yes.
They have spouses.
Just humanity-wise.
Yes.
Like it is better to keep these people together. They're not ruining anything.
No.
They're not destroying the country. Like it's just a good thing to do.
Again, these are not criminals. These are 500,000 people lived here for 10 years, married to a U.S. citizen, no criminal record.
Yeah.
These are not criminals roaming the streets that Joe Biden is just letting free.
Yep.
That's not what's happening.
No.
So, of course, Republicans come out against this in full force. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson framed it as Biden giving amnesty to hundreds of thousands of illegals. The first thing that comes to my mind is, where's the family values, Mike Johnson? Where's the family values? I thought marriage was this sacred pact that was between you, the person you love, and God, right? Now you want to separate them from their loved one?
Yeah.
You want to separate them from their husband or wife? That's what you want to do? That's your policy? That's insanity.
Yeah, it is hypocritical, but it's not surprising at all to me that he would say. I mean, this is their stance.
This
right?
is their stance.
This is where they have to sit.
They believe
politically.
any illegal immigrant, quote unquote, undocumented immigrant, whatever you want to call them, for whatever circumstance, if you're in here, you got to come out. That's it. That's their full stance. And Trump has gone on brazenly about that. He has praised the 1950s deportation program called Operation Wetback that was done under Eisenhower that resulted in some terrible human rights abuses. And he's been going off about how that's the model of what he wants to do, but multiplied by 10.
Yeah.
Because he wants to deport 20 million people from the United States. And I want you to put in perspective what a deportation of 20 million people would look like. That's National Guard and U.S. military officers knocking on doors of people you know in your community and ripping the spouse out of someone else's arms and sending them back to a country they haven't been to in 10 years. That's the future that Republicans want.
Yeah.
And that's not hyperbole. It's just me listening to what they say.
Yeah, if Trump's plans follow the words that he's been saying, which I will say is an if.
Yes.
That is kind of what you would need it to look like.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah, it would be terrible.
No, there's terrible stories of even during Trump's administration of people working at a food processing plant in Alabama, the place getting raided, 600 people getting deported, and some of the people in there were parents whose kids were in school, never saw their kids again. Kids came home, parents weren't there. That's it. Dunzo.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
And that's the future that Trump wants for every community in America. Okay? So in addition to this move from the Biden administration, getting these spouses of U.S. citizens legal status over some period of time, he also makes it easier for young immigrants, including dreamers, to get access to work visas, which is a significant move that could help them eventually get their green card. Okay, so if we remember during the Obama administration in 2012, I think it was during the election year, Obama implemented the DACA program. And so it was people who were brought into the country as children, undocumented, and that they would be protected and allowed to stay. And so it's important these moves from the Biden administration are very important because, yes, the Dreamers are currently protected from deportation, but if a Republican gets back into office, that is not guaranteed. There are multiple court cases going through the system right now where Republicans are arguing to revoke the ability for DACA recipients to ever become legal citizens. Okay, and these Republican administrators during the Trump administration ended the DACA program in 2017 and barred anyone else from applying. So the DACA people are only the people who applied from 2012 to 2017. Okay. Those are the DACA recipients. Okay. Since 2017, no new people have been able to sign up for the program. If Trump gets back into office, he could use. If Trump gets back into office, this is the nightmare scenario. Okay. If Trump gets back into office and the protections for those who have received DACA go away through the court system, Trump could utilize the list of people that the documented list that's been developed through the DACA program and actively check off them by deporting them. He could use the infrastructure of DACA to then go after them. And now I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but this is just what happened. This is one of the reasons why in 1938 Czechoslovakia, Jews were very, very reluctant of giving their names to British human rights workers to get them out of Czechoslovakia. Because the Jewish people in Czechoslovakia didn't want to give the British government records in the case of Britain getting conquered, in the case of Britain, or in the case of Czechoslovakia getting invaded, and then the Germans taking all of the documents. So when the Germans finally invaded Czechoslovakia, the first thing the British did in these human rights things was burn all the documentation. First thing they did. Okay. Because they didn't want access to any of this infrastructure. Wow. So now DACA has unfortunately acted as very, very good infrastructure for a Republican administration to now take it as a list of people to go after and deport.
It's very unsettling.
It's unsettling.
Extremely unsettling.
But if we take Trump at his word, that's what he wants to do. Yeah. Right? It's and yes, the court system in the United States is strong. The checks and balances is strong. Mm-hmm. It's not super strong. It's not impenetrable, but it's strong. But I really want you to look at Trump and just say what's his wish list? Yeah. If everything he said actually came true, how would this country be? Is that what you want? The answer should be no. And I think if you actually wrestled with these questions, anybody out there is watching this video and is supporting Donald Trump, if you wrestled with that question, you would say no too.
Yeah, I don't know, but
maybe at least a good portion of you. I don't know if every Trump supporter would, but some Trump supporters may be heartless, okay? But I think a good portion of them aren't, and if they took Trump at his hateful words, they wouldn't support it.
Well, let's try to empathize with those people. I think a lot of people are convinced that these immigrants are ruining the country, right? That they are part of the problem. And it's hard to Like, I don't know if there are really good reasons why people think that, besides that they've been told that. Right. But even that I want to be empathetic towards. We have done a lot of work on this show about why that isn't true.
Yeah.
Immigrants help the economy. They don't ruin us culturally.
If you look up our show name and then immigration, you'll get a ton of videos.
Yes.
That will show exactly all the ways how immigrants they don't commit a lot of crime compared to U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
They are good for the economy overall. They pay more in taxes than they take out.
Yes.
All good.
Immigrants are good, but I also want to talk about the idea of disincentivizing illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Biden's policy a couple weeks ago, that's a big part of what he was trying to do, is that he's going to reject asylum for people. And so if he rejects asylum, there's much less reason to try to come to the border to get into the U.S.
Yep.
People might think, and I think Donald Trump, one of the things Donald Trump says is that this new Biden policy is signaling that our borders are open. Crooked Joe is sending a message to the world that he rewards illegal entry, and that's what's happening. I think there's a huge difference to be pointed out between creating this humane policy for people who have already been here for 10 years, who clearly have an established life here, and giving asylum or different policies that would help people who do just come to the border.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this does anything to say that it's easier to enter the United States if you come here illegally. I don't think it helps with that at all. And I do see value in policies that disincentivize people from coming to our border, from trying to get in when they haven't been given the opportunity to do so. Of course, I also want more legal immigration to reform to allow more people to get in here legally.
Yeah, like quadruple the size of the diversity lottery, right? There are a ton of things you could do that would actually make more legal immigration easier and better for everybody.
Exactly. But for the people who might think that this policy is contributing to the problem of more illegal immigrants coming to our border, I just think there's no legs to that.
And there's no legs to that. And when I talk to people who are against immigration and are scared of illegal immigrants, they say the crime thing. Oh, they're so bad for crime. We know that they're not bad for crime. You can just do a quick Google search. You could look at our videos that show that. There's a good study from the Cato Institute that talked about that.
There's just no evidence for it.
No.
There's no evidence for it.
This policy even says no criminals. This policy even says you can't have a criminal record.
Yeah.
Right? So these are not criminals that are getting amnesty.
Mm-hmm.